Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Front Page program, a show brought to you for the fall 2018 semester here at CUE Community College and broadcast on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. The CUE County United Way kicked off its 2018 campaign more than a month ago with a targeted goal of raising about $900,000 to support some 23 partner agencies. As we do each year, and ever since we've started Beyond the Front Page, we've asked representatives of the United Way to join us to talk about the campaign and where they are and how you can give. So in the studio today we have Michelle Barber, this year's campaign chair, as well as the two campaign co-chairs, Monica Salvage and John Wilcox, to join us to talk about this year's annual campaign and how you can support it. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. I know this is your, 18th visit back here. You're usually here for Ignite and things like that. So what are your roles as campaign chair and co-chairs for this campaign?
Well, the campaign chair, this actually started a couple of years ago when I got together with then Leadership Cayuga coordinator Jenny Kent and Karen Macier, and we talked about getting together Leadership Cayuga alumni to work on the campaign in many, many areas, many levels. So that's where the conversation started. And then working with Karen and figuring out the strategic levels.
Karen Macier is the executive director of the United Way, CUE County United
Working
Way.
with Karen, we decided that this was much too much for just one person to do. So her and I searched for co-chairs, Leadership Cayuga alumni also.
Okay.
And that's how the three of us got together.
So that's your common bond. You're the class of what?
2005.
09.
2012. Best
So
class.
Best class ever.
So which is the second best class? I tell you what the first class is, 89. How many times we got to have this conversation? So what's the difference between chair and co-chairs?
I really don't think there's a lot of difference between what we've done. Each of us has really taken a piece of the campaign and kind of led with it. Definitely the Giving Tuesday, which these guys will speak to. They've pretty much headed that up, working with Karen, and but we're all working with the cabinet.
So have you all made presentations? I know
Yes.
There's been, what, you have 62 scheduled workplace presentations. You've done, as of yesterday, 55.
Yes.
So have you all done this? Give me an
Yes.
example. Where have you gone?
I've gone to the fire department several times. I've gone to schools. I've done all the county presentations because I work there now, so that has been very good for me to meet all the different people, the different departments in the counties. We're still going to go to the sheriff's office on Friday. That's the last county presentation. So
Yeah, I'm thinking the guy who just left here a few minutes ago will help with that one.
yeah, yeah.
I've
One
seen
last
a lot,
goal
yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Where have you made
I've
presentations?
done MCOM, I've done the Citizen. I'm drawing a blank on a few of them because there's so many, but it's really neat because you get to go into these places where you already have relationships with. So when we go to pick them, it's like, oh, I'll do the Citizen because I know a bunch of people there. Because when you're really asking them for money, you really, or for donations.
Is that where the bulk of the money comes from, is workplace giving?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So any idea how many you've each done so far?
I think I've done like
18 maybe.
10 or
15,
12.
18,
something
yeah.
like that.
I'm more the 10 or 12. So there's your chair.
Okay.
So there's a little more.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Guess what? You're the chair.
Yeah.
So some basics. What is the goal of the campaign this year?
$900,000.
And how was that number picked?
That is decided by the cabinet, the board. It's a joint decision.
And then you set that, and so where are you in the campaign now? I know there's thermometers, I think, in front of the county office building
yeah.
and City Hall. Where are you dollar-wise or percentage-wise in the campaign?
We have 14 campaigns in, meaning that envelopes are in and processed, and we are at about $256,000. I believe that's 28%.
Okay.
We are. I know a lot of the workplace campaigns. Their cutoff is basically the end of November, so we are going to see a large, quick increase.
In the next 10 days or so like that.
Yes.
So how long does this campaign run?
till the end of the year.
Yeah, it actually, runs through early next year, a little longer, but for most folks, for the general population, end of the year.
Because in the past, you, and I know this has not been for the last several, you used to have a challenge grant that was, you had to have everything in by December 1st.
Early December, yes.
And that,
yes.
that is not on
No.
the, so this is
No.
when you end the campaign, you had.
Correct.
So how many agencies are there again?
23,
And how many programs does that go along with?
34.
And give us some examples of some of the programs you fund as the United Way agency,
Well,
or partner agency. I should say.
there's the 4 pillars that areas that we support: health, education, income, and
Safety net?
safety net. Thank you.
I read what you sent me.
Yeah.
So in those areas, so it's everything from the Girl Scouts in the SCAT van to literacy volunteers to the Y, and I've only done 4, and we'll talk about others, Gavris and everybody else that comes in there. So why did each of you decide to do this? Because this is a major chunk of time, I'm assuming. Why'd you do it? Why are you doing it?
Well, I have been involved with the United Way for many years, cabinet member, board member, and I have always really looked up to the folks who have stepped up to be the campaign chair. From afar, it can look very scary, but again, with the meeting we had a year or so ago with bringing in Leadership Cayuga folks, basically, we kind of restructured this year. And so in the past, the campaign chair, and Sheriff Dave Gould can tell you, he did 70 presentations all by himself. We kind of split that up, spread that out, a few more layers of the campaign. So the big job, as you call it, was not so much of a demanding role. And that helped us. Our lives are very busy, work, family, home. So that really helped us to make the decision that yes, we can do this, we can fit this in, we can really dedicate quality time to the campaign and our roles as chairs.
Why are the two of you doing? Why are you doing this?
I've been a supporter for the United Way for quite some years, and I've also had the opportunity to serve on their fund distribution panel, which is a group of, again, volunteers who come together after the campaign is done, listen to the presentations of the agencies that ask for funding for their programs, and basically based on the amount of money that comes in, makes a decision, or at least makes a recommendation to the board of the United Way where those funds should go. And when I first did that, I learned a lot about agencies that I didn't know existed, about programs that I didn't know were around. And while you always think it's harder to fundraise than to actually give money away, I found it very sobering to actually make decisions on having to cut certain programs or having to decide, where is more merit.
You usually get more application, more requests
more
than
funding
you have.
request. Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that was a very difficult, decision every time. And so then when I was asked to help with this year's campaign, I just wanted to see how it is on the other end, on the front end, to basically get the money in and go to those places, talk to the staff and to the employers who are very supportive of the United Way, because you got to understand that this is staff time that you take up every time. It's 15-20 minutes that you come in, and they let the staff participate in that. They have an employer coordinator there, which is the liaison between the workplace and the United Way, and they again make sure that those things get distributed, the pledges get collected. So it's not just us doing something or the United Way doing something, it's the whole community coming together, rallying around this cause for a few months.
You don't know how to say no to anybody, so.
Yeah.
And you're a banker on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So why do this?
I served on the United Way Funds Appropriation panel too for like 6 or 7 years. You learn to love it, and you learn the relationships you build. It's hard not to, because as much as it takes a couple days or 3 or 4 days out of your time, you do learn a lot about the programs, and then you become fascinated with these programs and all that. I'm always on the panel for children and education, so I'm always like reviewing things like the YMCA, Auburn Public Theater, basically the Gaver Center and stuff like that. So it's neat, and also like this is probably, my kids are getting a little bit older, so this might be my like my last big thing that I do, and then I'm going to focus
just
on
going to sports.
Well,
Sports.
hockey.
Okay, so you can't say no, and he's a crazy man. Okay, shout out to you Auburn Ice Hawks. So, have any of you utilized United Way services?
No.
I have not.
I have a lot of friends and family that have.
Okay,
So
I asked that because one of the numbers that was given to me was that 3 out of 5, and that can be from birth to end of life, so it can be anything from, you know, the beginning to Girl Scouts to hospice of the Finger Lakes, all that. So it's, and I'm just curious on that.
However, you know, sometimes I think you don't know, because say if your child goes to the YMCA and goes to a certain program, that would count. So it's not always that clear, you know, it's not you're going out somewhere and asking for a service. Sometimes it's included in a program, the same with APT.
Auburn Public Theater.
Auburn Public Theater, yes.
Do any of you sit on United Way boards?
I did.
No.
You did?
I did
Okay.
my 6.
You did your 6? What were you on? Or some of them?
Oh, the United Way?
No,
Or-
United Way boards. Any of the partner agency. Have any of you
Oh,
served?
yes.
I know you were on.
I've served on hospice. I'm president of Literacy Volunteers. Oh gosh, I served on the United Way board, and that might be it. Neighborhood House in the past, but that was a long time ago.
Any other boards?
Yeah, I serve on the Chapel House, and there's a number of, like when we did the play space, I was on their marketing committee. So it's really weird how like they keep on reaching out to you in different aspects.
Right.
You don't
Once
have to be
you're
on the
in,
board,
you're
right?
in, buddy. Yeah, just. So we talked about the common bond with the United Way and Leadership Q, and you talked a little bit about that. You are using other alumni during this. I know opening weekend for the opening retreat. I went there. You were presenting just before that. What else are you doing? I know Sarah Douglas, and we'll talk about her in a little bit. She's an alum with Arise, which was formerly Options for Independence. She helped with the kickoff. Are you using other United Way alumni as well during the campaign?
The cabinet.
Okay.
We have a lot of alumni on the cabinet, and it was kind of interesting when we were going through the list. Even the seasoned cabinet members, a lot of those have gone through. So a lot of the Leadership Cayuga alumni have been serving in that role for quite a while. So that was a nice surprise.
I think it's 600 plus grads since for almost 30 years. So,
yeah.
By the way, other than your advertising, where you work here at Savannah Bank, what do you do for them?
I'm a commercial lender. I'm a business development officer.
And how long have you been there?
4 years.
Okay. You're with the county now? What are you doing?
Yeah, I work in the county administrator's office.
Mr. Woods?
With
who's
Mr.
been,
Woods.
And how long have you been there?
For about half a year.
Okay.
5-Star Bank branch manager.
And you've been there?
22 years.
I was going to say, you've been there for a while. This is largely volunteer-based, this campaign. Any idea about how many volunteers you have working? I've heard a lot of different numbers. I heard 120 at one point.
120, that number comes to mind, yes.
Okay, and so they do
Yes.
everything from making presentations, going out with events, items of that nature. I mentioned Sarah Douglas. You did a kickoff. Normally what you do, when I say you, I mean United Way, is there's usually an event. It's either at the Holiday Inn or the Springside, and they bring everybody in, and we hear 18 speeches, it feels like, or 18,000 speeches. They roll out the number. You did something different this year at Falcon Park.
Yes, we discussed the traditional kickoff from the past, and we decided to change it up, make it different, something new. And that's how...
so people could come to Falcon Park and they could bring things. What were you asking them to bring?
The personal care drive, which Sarah Douglas, who's an alumni, She worked with a bunch of folks, and there were several locations. I can't remember how many locations. There were several locations that collected these items from the public, and we, the day of kickoff, we called it a day of action, and all those items were gone around the entire community, collected, and brought to Falcon Park. And I believe there were 1,700 to 1,900 items.
So
it was a ton.
Fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
Great
it
success for-
it was
Yeah.
it was incredible.
And will this help out with just people in need, people who are at Chapel House, other?
Yes.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize that, like, when we have jobs and everything, we take things for granted, like toothpaste and laundry detergent and stuff like that. And working with Sarah with Arise, you'd be amazed at how many people just don't have the necessities like that, like deodorant and things like that, which also affect jobs, like applying for
Employment.
jobs and stuff like that. So they're always trying to help.
So how, I know we're popping up, I believe, the website for the United Way, but people can give how to the campaign?
Well, people can go to the United Way website, United Way of Cayuga County. There is a donate button. You can donate online, either a one-time donation, or you can make a recurring donation, which is very convenient.
And that's a secure button on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's very convenient because instead of making one larger donation, you can do it monthly or quarterly off your credit card, for instance.
And you can also send a check to 17 East Genesee Street in Auburn?
Yes.
Just make it out the Cayuga County United Way?
Yep.
For those who want to do it that way. And I think we talked about your largest way for givers are payroll deduction. So
Right.
somebody should see the payroll department at their business and say, if we're not a United Way agency, take it
Most
out of my
definitely.
payroll. And I know
Yeah.
whether you get your checks, in our case here we get them from Paychecks, they will nicely deduct from and then they send a check at the end of the year to the United Way. So that's another way of doing that.
Yes.
Any idea how much is the percentage comes in from payroll deduction? Is that the vast majority of where your money comes
It
in?
is the majority. I don't
Yeah.
know about
I
the
don't have-
percentage
I don't
offhand,
Okay.
but
Yes.
Another thing with the payroll deductions is they have a contest too. So if, like, everyone, when you go around to these functions and you let them know that if you get your donation voucher filled out in before December 7th, you are put in for a contest, and there's like 14 different prizes. And then if you up your amount by $25, which is minuscule, like when you divide
So
it by
this
26
is where the helping
pay
hands
periods,
go out and they put
The
everybody...
step up.
Step
Step
up.
up.
Step up, okay. And
yeah.
I know we haven't talked about
you
that.
get 2 chances to win these prizes. So
Okay.
I've donated just to win prizes before. so.
They're really
Have
good
you ever
prizes
won?
too.
I've won a couple. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
Not,
it paid
not
off.
through United Way, but I mean, I've won a
Okay.
couple prizes through donating, yes.
As we tape this the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, next Tuesday, this will be shown again. And so if this is 7 o'clock, you still, or 7:30 or 7:45 p.m., you still have time. Next Tuesday nationally is Giving Tuesday. And so what's that all about?
so the idea of Giving Tuesday is to start the holiday season when people start talking or thinking about end of year giving. You had Thanksgiving, you have Black Friday, and you have Cyber Monday, and you're done with all the commercial stuff. Then people usually start thinking about Christmas, start thinking about the end of the year and how can they give. And that has evolved as an online giving day. It's nationally, I think it's even internationally, where nonprofit organizations push it, especially for people who may have never given before. And it's a quick way of making an online donation for a cause that you believe in, and hopefully you become a repeat giver and donor. But it's the idea of throwing this out online and giving people an opportunity to make donations in a
And is it a
quick way.
specific amount? I know some organizations are doing a specific number, whether it's 100. I know here at the college we're doing 65 because it's our 65th anniversary.
No.
So it's whatever amount you want to do that.
No.
It's a one. That is usually a one-time.
That is a
donate.
one-time,
Do you
and
have-
it starts already now. Of course, at the
You can
at
go
the
on
time
today.
of the yes,
Right.
Okay.
but it ends 11/27 at 12 o'clock at night. So that's when it ends. But you can
Okay.
give already prior to that.
Do you have a goal for this year?
We don't have a goal. I think it was very successful last year when the United Way did it for the first time. And so this year what we're doing again with Leadership Cayuga is we reached out to all the class representatives and said, we have this Facebook group, this Facebook event for Giving Tuesday. Let's make a class challenge to really find out who's the best class ever. And
Very competitive.
yes, and see
Gotta love it.
and see how you can reach out to your fellow classmates, because usually it's about 20
So is there a
people.
prize for the best class?
And there are prizes, yeah. So it's there are
No, I'm
different.
talking about for the best leadership Hugo. Is there a class?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there is a prize for that, but then there's also a prize for who has gotten the most donors in numbers, and then
Okay.
also the most new donors, because that's sort of the idea behind Giving Tuesday, is to reach people that you haven't reached through your normal
So you
campaign.
can go on Facebook.
United Way
right,
of Cayuga County, and there will be a Facebook event. It's called Giving Tuesday, and there will be a link. It's called GiveGab. That's the site. But you go on that link. There's it says United Way of Cayuga County, and there you can give either individually or you can go to a class. There, the class are listed.
Oh, okay.
And so if you're a Leadership Cayuga grad, you can donate to a class specifically, or if you're not a grad and you still wanna give, you can
You
give
don't take money from
individually.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Okay,
Yes.
and you can also go to the United Way page, which we have up on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and just go to the Give page, and it's there that
Yes.
you can make that direct.
Yes.
Do you you also have had a separate group, and I didn't see it in the notes. Do you still have your Everett Society, where those are $500
Mm-hmm.
donors?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
Okay,
Yes,
and so
very
that's
much
not
so.
part of Giving Tuesday.
No,
That is a
no.
separate. You're asking
It's
people
anybody
to participate.
$500 or above.
Okay. Going back to the helping hands for a second, what's the competition? Not the competition, the drawing?
It's more of a drawing. So if you get your form
So
in
say I give
before-
you $100 last year.
Yeah.
I give you $100 this year, what do I get?
You get a chance to win one of 14 prizes.
Okay.
And it's a drawing, and you get your chance. But if you up it to 125,
That's what I'm at.
you
I
get 2 chances.
So I get you. And what happens if I go to 150?
I think you still get 2 chances.
What are some of the
But we don't mind it.
What are some of the prizes?
I believe like merry-go-round tickets, maybe I believe YMCA membership.
They're fun things.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
And-
to utilize with your kids.
And the United Way staff like to, at the presentations, they like to, when they talk about the step up in the gifts, that they've really collected them right here from Cayuga County, because they want folks to know what great experiences are out there and things that they can do. So they're mostly local prizes.
So you said local. Does all of the money from the campaign stay local?
Yes.
And how about, does the percentage go to administration? How do you?
There are only 3 employees
Okay.
at the United Way office, and the rest is all volunteer based. So
So you had said, because you both have been on fund distribution, that's how you determine how amounts. So organizations put in applications. They could be for greater than what they've done in the past. Is that done on a 2-year cycle or every year for review?
I think it's being reviewed every
Okay.
year,
Every
but it's
year.
on a 2-year cycle. Yeah.
So the committee then waits till the campaign's over and
Yep.
figures out how much money, and then you make the allotments that way. What happens if you don't make the campaign? What's the impact? And that's just the reality.
It's devastating. I mean, you have organizations that rely, like organizations like the Scat Band, if they don't get United Way funds, they might not be able to go forward, because I don't know if people know this, but insurance is insane for these companies.
Right.
And even though they're a nonprofit, they still pay exorbitant amount of fees. And without United Way funds, they might not be a viable source.
And you've also done some other events leading as part of the campaign. I think you were at Prison City last week.
yes,
What did you do there?
that was called Flight Night.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. The food was fantastic. There was a special menu that anyone who went to dinner there, whether you were going there specifically for the United Way campaign to help raise dollars, or if you just went there and didn't even know what was going on. There was a Flight Night menu, and there was a beer flight, a wine flight, a cocktail flight. The cocktail flight was really good. And they had a special burgers and fries for the menu.
I know you wanted to bring that on, but they wouldn't allow you there. So.
And
so a portion of those
yes,
proceeds, any idea how much you raised for that?
we don't know yet,
Okay.
but for every item that a group of whoever went, $2 from, so if you got 2 flights and 2 burgers, $8 of that went to the United Way. So we're really anxious to see how we did.
Any other events coming up that I know you do the United Way miniature golf tournament at the Holiday
That's usually
Inn.
in March.
March, that's still planned, but are there other campaign events that you have in the next couple of weeks?
No, just presentations. We're still booking presentations.
The United Way doesn't provide direct services, though. Correct? That's all farmed out to the agencies. I mean, you have
Correct.
you did a human services training, about a month ago at the Holiday Inn?
Yes.
But that's as far as you get into the services, correct?
Well, we have the 211 program.
Okay.
And the 211 program, it's a national program, and I've learned all this from going to the presentations.
Great.
Yeah, she is wonderful. The 211 program is national. And so for our area, you can call that number 24/7, and there is someone there to guide you in your, Cayuga County, wherever you live, for whatever specific need you're looking for, service, program.
And it's not necessarily a United Way agency, so if you need
Correct.
transportation, they
Right.
may refer you to the SCAT van.
It's like basically, if you have no clue, if you need services, you call 211 and they'll direct you to an organization.
And there's no charge for that?
No,
No,
not at all. And it's
not at
actually
all.
great because when I learned all this stuff, I was like, if I have so many friends that could have used these things, but they just didn't know they were around.
So I was at one presentation for that. We should also say that if you're in need of help or services, or you're thinking of committing suicide or doing harm to yourself or others, that's the line to call.
Yes, and if that is the case, where it's a suicide situation, you are not directed to someone else. There is someone on site 24/7 to speak to right then and there.
Okay.
So
we
that's
want to
great.
just encourage people, if
Yes.
you're having those thoughts, that's the site to go to, and they've done some wonderful presentations. As we leave and we finish out, we're on the eve of Thanksgiving, or if this is Tuesday of next week, we're thankful for everything we had over on Thursday. Can you each make your case for the United Way? I'm going to ask you each to do this. Finish up. Tell me why somebody should give the United Way.
My main thing is it's merely a couple dollars a paycheck. So I'm up to $6 a paycheck, and I think it's 2 coffees at Dunkin' Donuts, or when you break it down, it's minuscule. It's maybe 1 less trip to a fast food restaurant, and it goes a long way. So I would say, donate, because it goes a far way. It's huge for me.
For me, it's because I know when I donate to the United Way, it's an investment into the whole community. It's not just a certain area demographically or geographically that's being impacted. It's literally 3 out of 5 people in this county benefit from those programs. And while I, support individual organizations, that I'm very passionate about, when you donate to the United Way, your neighbors or the kids that your kids play with, so many people can benefit from it. And it's not just people who are on the lower economic scale. It can be us sometime. We just don't know. So it feels good, but it also feels good knowing that it stays local and that it has such a broad impact.
So whether it's Cayuga Counseling or CHAD or any of those other organizations out there. All right, you're the chairwoman.
What I would say, and this is what I say to folks at the presentations that I attend, no one wakes up in the morning and says, I hope something bad happens to me today. None of us say that. The thing is that bad things happen to good people. And it can strike any time to our family, our coworkers, our neighbors. What I would say is, when that happened to you, wasn't it great that there was someone there to give you a hand up, give you some advice, maybe direct you to a source that could help you, or just to listen? This is what these 23 agencies do every single day. Without them in our community, our lives would all be different. So please, please consider giving. If you've given in the past, we thank you so much, but please consider giving to the United Way campaign this year. It means a lot to the community, to the agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. We do want to thank our 3 guests today, Michelle Barber, who's this year's United Way campaign chair, as well as her 2 co-chairs, Monica Salvage and John Wilcox, for joining us to talk about this year's campaign. And we do urge you to give. You can give to other agencies as well, but you can give to the United Way in this campaign. It goes a long, long way. And we wish you good luck with the rest of the campaign, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Quick programming note, we will not have a show on Thursday because it's Thanksgiving and all these students will be hopefully home or somewhere having turkey with folks they like. We will be back on Tuesday, where we will have 2 other shows, but we will also be airing our show with Hospice for the Finger Lakes, who we were unable to bring you last week. They're going through some changes, and they're also going to have an event next Thursday we want to promote as well. Next week, though, on Inside Government, we will have interviews with John DeFrancisco, the senator who is retiring at the end of this year as an exit interview, as well as Auburn Superintendent of Schools, Jeff Perazola. He'll be discussing the proposed capital bond referendum scheduled for January 8th. Our final show of the season will be next Thursday with, of course, Santa Claus. You can send questions for either Senator DeFrancisco, Jeff Perazola, or even Santa by sending them to cozguytho@aol.com or Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York. On behalf of the college, on behalf of all the students up here, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving, or if it's Tuesday, you've had a great Thanksgiving. We hope you have a great week and see you here back in the studio. Thank you and good night.